Welcome back to... What t-shirt should I wear on arguably the biggest day of my football career, getting a call-up to my national team? Well, I'm Nuno Tavares. There's only one answer. Arsenal are in a spot of bother. A funk. Sorry to remind you, but we're 9 points off Liverpool at the top of the Premier League table, and with no win in the league since Southampton at the beginning of October, the mood music is not good. I enter this international break maybe grateful for an international break. Is that the first time I've ever said that? Maybe. Mikel has said publicly he doesn't think we need a reset, but I suspect internally they might be very grateful for this period of reflection and rest. Some of you out there will have given up on the league, and that's fine. I suspect you might have been Arteta skeptics anyway, but I'm not here to tell you what to think. And while I personally haven't, there are aspects of this season that I've really not enjoyed. We are going to come to those. Fixing them is absolutely vital on this road to recovery. But while I empathise with the anger, to me, there is still a clear path ahead to get where we want to go. No one ever said winning the league was straightforward. To recover, to challenge for the Premier League title, here's what I see as the road ahead. Step 1, get our facts straight. In the modern media space, it's hard to know who to take seriously. There used to be a really clear separation, but now it isn't so clear. Opinion, fact, agenda, need for views, clicks, social media madness, and more all blur into one to form something that's very hard to take a temperature from. What do people actually think? So, as a catch-all, let me say this. We're down, but it's game week 11. We can't even mathematically rule Southampton out. I'm being slightly facetious, but you can't be definitive about anything at this point in the season, in any season of any sport at any time. We are still under 30% of the way into it. Rivals can try and bait people, but any serious football analysis writing anyone off at game week 11 has jumped the gun massively, in my opinion. And I would say the same about Liverpool or City. Because to me, it's not the shape of a Premier League campaign. If a team is 7, 8, 9 points off in, I'll give you late February even, probably more like March, I think we can start to say it's pretty unlikely, barring a miracle, that they win the league because the variance window is closing. Even though collapses do happen, as we know, you can begin to make some pretty decent projections forward based on a now wider data pool. But it's November. We just have to wait and worry. You can't make up 9 points from here. Just doesn't wash for me until about game week 25. With that aside, can we be better? Unequivocally. But it is literally undeniable that our start has also been incredibly tough. If you're anything like me, you believe these things eventually balance out over time, but especially when you've only played 11 games, these things matter a lot. Here is a data viz of Arsenal's fixture difficulty versus points per match up to this game week, done by Scott Willis of Cannon Stats. If you want to go and research how fixture difficulty is calculated, there's an explainer out there somewhere. As you can see, City and Liverpool are among the lowest in the league for strength of schedule rating, and we're third from top. If you adjust for 11v11, the numbers look even better, as our XG differential is among the best in the league, despite the harder schedule. And listen to this. Liverpool's 5 away fixtures so far have been Arsenal, with 3 senior defenders, Palace, Wolves, Eric Ten Excuses is United, and Ipswich. City's 5 were Bournemouth, Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, and Chelsea. And they dropped points in 2 of the same 3 away fixtures that we did. Arsenal's 6 away fixtures so far have been Chelsea, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Manchester City, Tottenham, and Aston Villa. So not only more, but harder fixtures away from home. And Arsenal have played 5 out of the 6 against teams in the current top 10. City have had 2 against the current top 10, and Liverpool have had 1 against us. And they should have lost. Not that I'm bitter. They also haven't even played each other yet, and we've played them both. And by the way, if you want to get into the who was available for the opposition team type game, there's probably some room for annoyance for Arsenal there as well. We took 11 points from those same fixtures last season, and we took 10 from them this year. Then you consider the injury list, the red card situation when neither City or Liverpool have had a single player sent off, and you begin to get some sympathy and see the context.
The context.
City have had injuries though, I hear you cry. Exactly. And partly because of that, they just lost 4 on the bounce. So if we use that as an excuse for the best manager of all time, with the best financed team in Premier League history, perhaps we can make an allowance for ourselves. But we know we can be better than we have been. We've been underperforming, which is annoying, but it also means we have the power to fix it. And rubber the green aside, there's some things we can do. Step 2, solve our problems. We can't blame fixtures, luck, the referees, weather, trees, and Jamie Carragher forever. We have to shoulder our part of the blame in some ways to get a sense of how to recover. We've covered a few of these points on the channel already, but they're worth discussing again. We spoke about central access last video, and I can only reiterate the points I made then and recommend that video. This comes back to our over-reliance on Ødegaard to find those dangerous positions close to the box, but when he is there, we can see, like in the goal for Martinelli, what he can do. I have room for optimism, but finding the centre without Ødegaard is a meta problem for this team. As also discussed recently, I think we've made things a little bit too complicated with our usage of Trossard, moving him around and keeping him more central with Havertz, rather than trusting Nwaneri to be, frankly, more like Ødegaard in those pockets where Trossard doesn't seem to go. If you're going to change our plan B away from Vieira and Smith Rowe, fine, but I need you to trust the plan B that you now have. But actually, as I've said before, I don't think it is a trust thing with Nwaneri. He's used him in some incredibly difficult game states away from home in those tough games. So I don't get it. It's easy from the outside to say he's overthought this because we don't know what the thinking was, but maybe he has. Also, signing Sterling and barely using him, Jesus' lack of output and shape to his game, the wider squad usage again, basically. The guys who should have stepped up in this period, the experienced ones. It's all been quite disappointing. If you don't trust them by season 5, I don't want them here. Squad usage was a problem to some degree last year, and it's beginning to become one this year. We've also, defensively, not been good enough. The spacing for the Neto goal was just pure miscommunication. Saliba out on the left, Partey and Rice both dropped into the centre-back slot to cover, and boom, punished. Our 4-4-2 block is normally so well oiled, and the movement inside so well coached. Look at this screenshot. It's not like us at all. Gabriel misjudges the flight of the ball, punished. Kivior commits to try and support Lewis Skelly, punished. Miscommunication, punished. Yes, we're unlucky, but our defensive habits aren't good enough at the moment, as Mikel has said. Ben White's defending for that Pedro Neto cross is really not good. In terms of our defensive numbers, there's 5 teams with less conceded than us, and we're in the bottom half for volume of shots conceded. No clean sheet in the league since Spurs is a concern. To me, the goals we've conceded are varied enough to not say anything specific like we need to defend the wide areas better, and I think it's 2 things, our concentration and our habits. Preparing for the duels better, for example, is a big problem for us at the moment, and we're losing a lot of duels. And finally, I hate to say it, but in moments like this, I can't help but think about the market. Did we need a brute? Did we need a bully? I prefer to focus on the players we do have generally, but that force of nature player I always bang on about feels like something we could do with right now. Omorogian, Osimhen, Šeško, Gyökeres, guys who would kill their own grandma for a goal. A modern Diego Costa. A few we didn't deserve that, but we got away with it type wins, and we're not even having half these conversations. Step 3, don't stop believing. Nope, I'm not going to sing. This is a simulation of the potential points distribution for 24-25, done again by my GOAT, Scott Willis. There's an in-depth explainer available on the Canon Stats website, but it's an average outcome from 10,000 simulations, is basically what you need to know, taking into account a huge number of factors, including the previous seasons, the current season, salaries, odds, XG, and so on. But I want you to note something. Even now, when it would be absolutely justifiable to extrapolate that out, with Liverpool in the form they're in, that they're going to run away with it, they're projected to get only 83 or so points and still win it. City are at 82.1, even now. Now, some people don't believe in these types of simulations. They're a better guess than what I reckon, but fair enough. However, I'm telling you, my gut is telling me, this league is not won by 92, 95 plus points this season. No way. It's just too good. Emery, Iraola, Nuno, Hertzler, Marco Silva, Thomas Frank, McKenna, Glasner, Deitch, Cooper, Lopetegui, the West Ham guy, Eddie Howe. The amount of brilliant managers outside the top 6 has never, ever been higher in the Premier League. Think about how many of those are new as well. These are guys who could get jobs at Champions League or Europa League clubs in other countries in a heartbeat. Some of them literally have. And so while that's terrifying in a way, it's also exciting and an opportunity against our competitors. It makes for a Premier League that's becoming a little bit different, more unpredictable, and going closer to the wire. I don't have the data, but I think the days of United, Chelsea, and Arsenal in the mid-2000s beating the bottom half teams 5 and 6-0 every weekend are just done. It might happen occasionally, but I bet if you compared the top clubs' scorelines now against the bottom half clubs on average across time, you'd see a trend down. One for you, Scott. Competitiveness, we know, has increased. And a way to tell that is that the comeback is on the rise. There have been 24 comeback wins so far this season, which is 21% of all matches. And that's been on the steady increase for the last 4 seasons. Teams are, in general, fighting longer and harder. The whole league have bigger budgets and pay relatively bigger wages compared to the top 6 competition from 20 years ago, and wage data is always a good predictor of outcome. There's bigger squads, more quality, more specialist coaches, more data. Everyone's looking for that extra 1 or 2%, and they're getting it, and that's making an impact. The difference between Pep and the rest of the league, not just Klopp, over the last couple of years, is shrinking. 100 points on that first title, then 98, then 81 when Liverpool won it, back up to 86, little rise to 93, down to 89, then 91, hovering around 90 points basically for the last couple of years. And now, moving forward, if he stays, I think they'll struggle to reach 90 consistently. If I had to make a prediction, I don't think we'll ever see 100 points again. And that is key. Arsenal are on 19 points after 11 games. Say we were aiming for 90 points. Say that's what we needed to win the league. We'd need 71 points from here in the remaining 27 games. If we won every one of those remaining 27, we'd get 81 points. So plus 19, we'd have exactly 100 points. That's room to still lose 3 from here, or lose and draw a few, and still hit over 90 points. I don't want to be clear, but although our margin of error has decreased, it's not non-existent. And the key thing is I don't think it will need 90 points. That's what I think we maybe should be aiming for, might be reasonable. 10 points drop from the remaining 27, however that looks. It's a tall order, but it's a good aim. But with a Rodri-less City that are already struggling, and with a Liverpool that I can't see keeping this up, in a more competitive league, I think something's got to give. Look, some of this is data, some of this is guesswork, some of this is just my feeling, but let me know what you think in the comments. I think there might be 2 or 3 more points in the season where our competitors drop points. And that might be enough. And so we have to believe. We have to stay vigilant. Even if we drop points, we have to believe that others will too, that it is possible. We're so overly conscious of our flaws, we forget that others have them too. And they will be punished, in my opinion, more and more. Yes, we have to get back to what we do best, controlling games. But we were the team that went and did this at the end of the last campaign. We know we can do it. The results haven't happened. Mikel knows this. When asked how to fix this, he had a simple response. Win, 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 win. That's a lot of pressure on the club dog. I stole that joke off someone and I can't remember who it was. Sorry. But we've done it before and we can do it again. We have a huge sample now of being better in many aspects of our play and game and the underlying numbers than City. We know what we saw at the Etihad. We have a huge sample of being better than Liverpool. Points totals, wins, and we know what we saw at the Emirates. We just have to believe we are still that team. We can be better. Let's get our facts in order. Let's improve what we can improve. And let's keep believing. Because this title race is far from over. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon monthly, or you can buy us a coffee.